I'm Tom Edwards, EM3. Chow was, let me describe it this way, I was 56 pounds lighter than I am right now. When I came back to the United States, I literally weighed 99. Well, I asked my commanding officer about that. I said, you know, I've studied history a lot. I said, in the Constitution, isn't there something about cruel and unusual nourishment? And he said, no, actually it's cruel and unusual punishment. So I said, either way, I said, I think we're pretty close here. So the chow was less than spectacular. One of the few times that I remember us having fresh fruit, we had a pretty large shipment of grapefruit that came in. And I hadn't had apples, oranges, things of that nature in months and months and months. And it was the first time, and I'm sure I haven't done this since I left Vietnam, I've never, in one sitting, I've never had 12 grapefruit before. So that was a first. I may have had my fill of grapefruit now that I look at it in retrospect. But yeah, things of that nature were kind of scarce. It was not, the chow was not top shelf, quite frankly. And one night in Thoi, Georgie Jessel, who had been a vaudeville entertainer many years prior to Vietnam, came out there and he entertained us. And I thought he was hilarious because he was telling us different things of, hey, I've been talking to a lot of you guys and you enjoy being here and you're proud of it. He said, it's 110 and there's no women. Are you guys crazy? So it did kind of perk up our morale. So I find pretty much anywhere, if you can find a laugh in it, you bet. And we did have a lot of that, even on the Krishna. My needle's pretty sharp, nothing mean, nothing malicious or anything, but yeah, I'd needle our guys and they'd give it back to me. So yeah, it helped. Humor helped a lot. There was a number of islands near Antoy, and we would go over there. We'd have steaks and beer and that kind of thing, as you would, you know, on your off day and so forth. And at the time, and this thing probably was about the size of that book right there. It looked like a shoebox by comparison to today's cameras. But I had a Polaroid. I mean, this was 1968 or 69. I don't remember which year this took place. But I had a Polaroid camera, and I saw a group of local people. It looked like a husband and wife and some of their children and so forth. And they seemed tentative when they saw me, and I had some chocolate. So I held that forward, and then they just, you know, obviously that went over well. And I did that. I had the camera, and I tried to, you know, in sign language, if you will, mention to them that I wanted to take a photo. And they got the hang of that, and they went for it. So I took a Polaroid picture of them, and this was back in the 60s, obviously. It took, I think, a minute for the photo to develop. And if I live to be 1,000, I'm not going to forget their reaction. So every time we went over to that part of the island, I made sure I had plenty of Polaroid film and lots of chocolate. So my interaction with the locals was just fine. And then over in Thoi, which is the village, I could see it from the bow of the ship, we went over there and we had a small, it was a hooch or a hutch, I guess you would call it, a corrugated building type deal. And we had a pool table in there and some fans, and we'd go over there and have beer and that kind of stuff. And there were the locals that worked in there also, and it was fine. You know, we would just tell them, hey, you know, 2 beers or whatever. And so my interaction with the Vietnamese was always extremely positive. There was, in my case, there wasn't anything at all negative that took place. In fact, when I left the Krishna, I took I believe it was a C-130, a cargo plane, to Saigon. And I was supposed to leave that morning, but there were problems with the plane, and I wound up staying in Saigon for 7 days instead of flying out that night. So I found, you know, some of the local spots and so forth. Again, did a lot of photography. I thought, hopefully this is the only war I'm ever going to be in. And I went into a bar in Saigon, and there was an American bartender. It was a GI type of place, obviously. And he said, what would you like? And I said, I'd like a glass of milk. I hadn't had milk since I left Japan. And I said, do you have any, because they had beer, wine, whiskey, obviously. I said, do you have any milk? And he said, lots of it. You guys ask for that all the time. So I sat in a bar in Saigon, had a glass of milk. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.